We are back here on the I70 and Coach Play Show. Coming at you Wednesday evening here, folks. Yeah, all right. Well, let's start the show off here tonight by doing a little, let's do a quick little poll here. Everyone out here in live chat, let's take part in this. My question to you is, did Mr. Mueller do enough today and throughout his time here working within the plan to save his butt? Or that's everyone put a yes for that, or no if you think that he has not done enough to save his butt in terms of what he is a part of in terms of Uranium One and all the other nefarious acts that he's part of over the last few years. So let's have a yes if you think Robert Mueller has done enough to save his butt, get himself out of Uranium One, what he's implicated in that and other things, or no if you think that he hasn't. Let's see that. We'll see how many kind of people think there. We got starting off a lot of no's there.
Yep, I believe that.
Jockey says no. Shara Kirkby says no. Heavy, no. Bearish Blonde, no. Lecture, no. His hat will blind him. Patriot Chair, no. No. Bama Bruce says no. We want a refund. That's no doubt. 30-odd million, no doubt. And that time, all the time taken, all those lies. Shy Panther, no. Looks like I haven't seen one yes.
Nope, it looks like we're pretty unanimous.
And Karen Kins says no. Rhonda Chisholm says no. Dana Meyer says no. That looks like, yeah, Mega Mad Dad says yes, only if he spilled all the beans. Right, that's the question. Has he done enough? That's my thinking, right? You know, I definitely think it was strategic that he, and on timing, I would guess, that he retired today from the DOJ and said what he needed to say. Not a chance. String them up is what's going on. No, not a nix, not a no, says Anja Triez. Yeah. All right.
Interesting. Good question.
Yeah, looks like he's still got some work to do if he's going to not have to,
Yep.
Say the truth to the people eventually. Zero accountability.
If you'd like to get on the call-in show, just jump on in Discord. There's directions down below and a link. If you're not already a member, it's pretty easy. Sosha is in the pre-screening voice room that can help you get your levels set and jump on in here. I see Drunken Pinata is in the pre-screening voice, so maybe we'll have a caller here in a minute.
Yeah, sure. And I think he did send me some info here to go over that he wants to bring to the folks, so that shall be good.
Interesting.
Sky Panther says that Coach Clay, if you look at his right eye, it looks swollen, and he looks roughed up and made out to go out there. No doubt. He'll definitely look disheveled. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Joe Hatter says put him on trial. Yeah. Very interesting, guys. It's a big day. And what does everybody in live chat think about, that fellow who was out on the White House long? Was he just barbecuing or what was?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Hey, I've got Drunk Pinata in the room.
All right. Welcome to the show there, Drunken Pinata.
Thanks for having me, guys. How you doing?
Doing real good tonight there, sir. Thank you.
Good, thanks.
Yeah. How about yourself? What's new over in your way?
Nothing too much. Just getting off the holiday weekend, just getting back into work, and handling all of the day's events and trying to figure out what the angles are. I mean, it's a little odd. I mean, he definitely looked a little forced. I didn't find out about that. I think most people were pretty surprised by the announcement of it. It's hard to say whether or not this was, who initiated it. I mean, it really could have been either. But what's he going to ever say? He can't say anything else besides what's already there. But I think if it were the Democrats that were kind of the ones goading him into presenting what he did today, it would just be because they didn't want the Republicans to be able to cross-examine. I mean, can you imagine Jim Jordan, Devin Nunes, or Doug Collins being able to cross-examine them and ask him, when exactly did you know there was no collusion?
Mm-hmm. That's what I would, my opinion is as well. It's leaning on that side. Yeah. They wouldn't want to hear what he had to say.
He also did state that Barr actually put out more of the report than he originally suggested. So that kind of clears Barr of being a bad guy and hiding stuff.
Yeah, he did make a point of saying that. Mm-hmm.
So if Barr goes on to other prosecutions or to other matters, he'll still look like he's not 100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny. It's all that they have left now is this projection, and like Drunken Pinata is just saying, it was pretty much just for show because they knew that they didn't want to hear what he had to say anyways. A chance of the Republicans to question him as well. So it was just a stall tactic. For some reason, they think that this stalling is going to do something. It really does nothing other than, I don't know, spouting out to that 1 million to 3 million people who are still watching those mainstream media news stations.
Yep. Hey, we've got Captain Liberty on deck, so I'm going to go ahead and pull him on.
Yeah, let's bring him in here. I know Drunken Pinata has got some info for us, so it'll be nice to have a little roundtable input to it.
Hello, Captain.
Good evening, gentlemen. It's Wednesday night. I couldn't leave you here by yourselves.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, Captain Liberty.
Well, thank you for inviting us in. You're very much appreciated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Patty DeBingo out in live chat says, at Coach Clay, wish someone would talk about Assange and if he's truly impossible. Q said he was protected. Yes, he did, if I remember correctly. And I will go with that.
Hey, Coach, did you hear CNN closed its London office?
No.
Basically, they're running out of funds.
Right. Well, I imagine at some point some of their donors walk away as well. They're either that or their donors, their larger donors, are also getting liquidated and assets seized as well as part of the executive orders. Therefore, all that money is going to run out. Although, who was it? Was it not, if I remember correctly, was it not Diaz Kincaid who said that your Congress funds CNN through a certain program? That's why they're up at all the airports,
yes,
and other things like that.
Yeah, we subsidize them.
Isn't that an FAA contract?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's FAA or which, but I can't remember exactly what he was going over at the time. But that is one thing that they will definitely have funds for to still use to be on the air, right? If they've got government funds. That's the part of the problem up here in Canada is both of our mainstream media stations are fully funded by the taxpayer dollar. So they can do whatever the Liberal governments ask them to do.
Does this mean we're going to see a fire sale type auction on big screen TVs?
Well, I'm really interested to see is when all the truth really starts coming out and your mainstream media down there in America really has to start reporting on some of the truth. Will the Canadian mainstream media also go along with telling the truth, or will they then just start spinning it in another way?
We all know that the truth hurts. I guess that's why Q has been telling us, here comes the pain.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So, Drunken Pinata, did you want me to pull up some of that stuff at this point here, or?
Yeah, that'd be good. I'm thinking as far as the best thing for me would be to kind of you and I go through it really quickly, and then we can I'll have a better chance of interjecting as we go along after that. But there's some initial stuff I'd like to show, and then we can have some discussion about it.
Sure. Which one did you want me to pull up first for the folks to see?
Go ahead and pull up that PDF.
The PDF file? Okay. All right.
All right, so this is a couple of excerpts from some of the...
Oh, you get cut off there.
Sorry, these are going to be some excerpts from the official NIST reports. I mean, yes, I roll, I know, but they do actually have some factual information. Their conclusions obviously are very, very poor, but they do have a lot of. I just wanted to show some of these images, just so you guys can have a sense of how the towers are kind of put together. We kind of got into a little bit of some 9/11 stuff last time, and I just want to expand upon a few different things I've come across in my research.
Sounds good.
That I'd like to share with the community, because I think there was a fair amount of some disinformation in terms of some of the more fantastic types of theories. I don't think that you can really. I don't think we can really say which is the true one, because we don't really have access to the evidence. So we have to kind of go with what was given to us. So this is kind of from that standpoint, what was given to us, this is what I personally, from my own experience, this is my conclusions. But I just thought I'd share them with the community.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this first image is from, so you can kind of see, if you can kind of scroll up a little bit, you can kind of see how these panels were prefabricated, and they were basically spanning 3 floors, and they staggered them in like a diagonal pattern. And this will become important in the next image. So what they did was that those holes, there's a couple places you see where they have like a truss seat. They have a place where the bottom part of the truss dampener would connect. And it kind of shows how you had the truss underneath with the knuckles, and this is before they poured the concrete. This is one of my biggest pet peeves about when they show those animations about the trusses sagging. They completely leave out the fact that there's an entire concrete slab that was poured with those knuckles in place.
Right.
So those holes that you see on the top of each of those spindles are opened so that on the underneath they can reach in and bolt all of these connections together. And then on the spandrels, which are on they're basically the horizontal members on those prefabricated panels, they had another plate that would go down between all of them, and they would spot weld them down through to connect them all together. So you can go to the next page of that.
Okay.
All right. So this is color coded kind of to show the staggering of the different panels that were blown out from the aircraft impact. So you can kind of see that only about the top, in the very center mass in this particular impact, there was the very top portion of the spindle was sheared off, and 2 panels on either side were basically blown in, and then you had some other kinetic and energy damage. And the reason why both aircraft banked the way they did was because of this prefabricated pattern. If they didn't do that, they more than likely would have seen a lot more debris down from the face of the building. There was a very, very strategic reason why both aircraft banked the way they did.
Okay.
You can go to the next one, I think.
Okay.
So this is from an MIT report. Just shows a little bit more of how the different panels were connected together. Just for another image for you guys. So a lot of the misconception as far as the validity of the aircraft impacts is it comes down to metallurgy and understanding the difference between a ductile material and a brittle material. Carbon steel is going to be a brittle material. It's very, very strong, but the way that it fails in a brittle way. And aircraft aluminum is a very ductile thing. So you're talking about two different extremes in terms of the material type, and also you're talking about two different quality, both of them are on the high end in quality for their particular type of material. You can go to the next slide. It's kind of another image from another one of the reports, just kind of showing how the damage goes through, or what the reported damage was. You can go and keep like scrolling down a little bit, Clay.
Okay. There's the next one there. Very interesting.
So you can see on this one, there was a little bit less of two panels. There was two panels here on the right side there, and just not as many other panels. But definitely you can see that only basically the bottom parts of those spindles were basically impacted. You kind of see how they kind of highlighted those to show how the grid pattern showed up.
Yes.
All right, go ahead and go to the next one, please.
Okay. You see it up there now?
Yep. So here's another example or another image of kind of showing, according to their reporting, like from the visuals before the collapse, this is their best estimate of what the damage was. And again, because of the different highlights, you can kind of get a better sense of what was actually, how they actually penetrated and what was there. So if you look at the tops and bottoms there, that pink and that red and that green, the connection, or the aircraft impact there sheared off bolts essentially, because most of the load is being up and down. But shearing bolts is it doesn't require that much kinetic energy to do. And once you meet a certain threshold, it just kind of just pops off. Like it's because of the way that those bolts are. They're a little bit more of a ductile material, but they're definitely sort of in that more that's not in the brittle range, but in a I mean, think of scissors. Why do scissors work? It's kind of the same kind of motion, but in a very much more brute force type of way, if that makes sense. But the best way to think of it is scissors. That's a shear force like that, shearing the bolts from across the cross section of the bolt, basically.
Right. Interesting.
All right, you can go to the next one, please.
Yep. All right. The hypothetical blast scenarios. Should be able to see.
Oh, yeah. So this is from the Building 7 report. Everyone, this is the most technical jargon BS that I've ever come across as a professional. It is absolutely ridiculous. Essentially, what they came up with a hypothetical scenario that, based on the way that it collapsed, they said, "Oh, you're going to need to place charges here, here, and here." You can keep scrolling on this. It's not important. We're not going to actually read through it until the last slide.
Sure.
So essentially, they're just saying, okay, this is what this thing is going to need, and that there's no way. And this is the column, I think I mentioned previously, that column 79 was the one that failed. And so they're like, okay, well, based on that, this is, if that was failed not by fire, but by explosion, and they had to place a charge there, and it would be almost impossible to carry out without being detected. They kind of just run through all that BS. And then at the very end, they basically based their entire reason why they didn't test for explosions based on an acoustical simulation of a hypothesis, which is absolute bullshit. Sorry to swear, but it's absolutely ridiculous that based on a hypothetical that they would base not testing for explosives on an acoustic simulation based on a hypothesis. It's absolutely just insane that they would do that, and gives a lot of good cause for questioning almost all of the reporting from that point on, or well, from top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And how many videos have we seen with blasts? You know, that one's like, hey, you want to call your mother? And it's a giant blast. I mean, so everything that they're talking about that didn't happen, there's all this video evidence and with audio recording that show that it was plausible. So it's just a bunch of BS. But I think that was into the slides, wasn't it?
There's this one here. There's two more here. One with the color coded here. Peak, overpressure, and broken window locations.
It's just part of the same thing. You keep scrolling.
Okay. And then, yes, at the bottom there, it was just about window breakage.
Hey, I've brought Clarion into the room.
Awesome. Welcome to the show there, Clarion. All right.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I'm here. How are you guys doing?
Doing very good. Was there next which one did the little videos you sent as well, Pinata?
Yeah, those two are the ones I would definitely want to make sure that we get through before, we kind of open things up.
Yeah, sure. So, and that's the first one would just be just the first one, not the diff 2?
Correct.
Okay, pulling that up here. One second.
You don't have to play it with sound if you don't want to.
Okay, share the screen here, folks. Let me know when you see that I70.
Good to go.
All right. So, and can you see that as well, Junker Pinata?
Yeah, but can you show the other one first?
Oh, okay, not this one, the other one. All right, one sec.
Hey, Clarion, how's the weather out there?
Weather's perfect. It's a beautiful day. Beautiful day, despite what Mueller's trying to stir up.
Gotcha. Did you have anything for us today that you wanted to go over?
Well, I'd like to talk a little bit about the Mueller report, but Drunken Pinata should finish up with his slides. It's
right. I was just curious. Okay, we'll let you jump in right after DP's done, and then after that, we'll get on our tweets and Trump tweets and usual.
Yeah. All right. So this is the one you wanted up, Drunken Pinata? Oh, we still got you there?
Kind of roboed. Yeah, you're roboing bad.
Maybe just restart to your Discord and then jump right back in there for us, Junkin' Pinata.
Yeah, you've switched cell towers or something. It's not caught up yet. We'll wait for a second while you get situated, and we'll try it again.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Yeah, very interesting stuff. And interesting to see these next two videos here he's got for us. And throw Chris out in live chat. That is good. Good to see that out there. Have a fresh day of fresh air. Breathe it in while you had no things up in the air there on you. Good. Here, it was terrible today. Yeah. All right. Are you watching that over there in the Discord for us? See if he's jumping back in?
Yep.
Right on. Let me know when that happens. Otherwise, I'm going to chit-chat here with Clarion and Captain Liberty.
Drunken Pinata, you out there?
I should be still here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. 5x5 now there, sir. Had your robot in there?
Yeah, I went red, and now I'm back to green. Where did I leave off?
I have one question before you proceed. Who prepared this report?
All the stuff I was showing was from the NIST reports.
Ah, that makes sense then.
All right, so here I've got that first AVI you sent here. If you can see it up on your share screen.
All right. Yep, I see it. So essentially what I think, I don't know how much I got through before.
We didn't hear any of it.
All right. So you have from the spindles that we saw earlier, you have a bunch of horizontal and vertical lines. And what happens when you have an impact and disturbance in that pattern, you're going to see essentially a bunch of curved lines radiate throughout the building to the video. And because this is one of the only ones that was an actual tripod shot, and I think the closest one that was a tripod shot, you're going to see this particular lines and movement in the building. Go ahead and play it and you kind of see what I mean. And the second video shows it's using a difference kind of filter where essentially from frame to frame, it shows the difference in the pixels movement and color. And it'll kind of further illustrate what we're talking about. But I don't want you to see that one first. I want you to see this one and then see the other ones so that you can have your own opinion about it.
Sounds good. All right, here we go. Okay.
Was that tower 1?
That's 2.
Okay, so here's the second one, which has, as you mentioned, what was the filter on here, or?
I'm not really entirely sure. I mean, this is something that I didn't produce this myself. This is something that somebody else produced. It is a basically from frame for frame, it shows where the movement occurs from the frame previous. And then if there's any color differential, it kind of shows that as well. And it kind of shows it in a negative filter so you can kind of see what exactly is changing from frame to frame.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah, so the lines that you see from the point of impact, you see it kind of radiating upwards and downwards from that impact site?
You do, yes.
Now, if you replay that again and put your cursor up at the very top, let's just go with the middle point up at the top, by the top of the building, and just leave it there, you'll see where the swaying comes in.
Okay, I see it.
Here, but try one more time and try to pick a point and just don't move your cursor to let it sit.
It disappears on me after a few seconds is the problem.
Okay, sorry.
I'll pick the top corner here of the building and just kind of very slightly. Hard to tell when my thing keeps moving out of the way. But you can definitely see those lines and all that. But yeah, hard to see the movement there with just my stupid cursor moving out of the way there on you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I mean, there's a couple different videos. Let me find the link and I'll send it to you so you can throw it out the chat. I think there's a video that has, I think, both of these on a YouTube video. These were something I pulled. I believe it was from, both of them are taken from the NIST FOIA information from the main site for all the FOIA stuff for this. But I'm between computers and I have different stuff on different hard drives. So I've lost the original link, but if I can find it, I'll definitely put it back over, sending you a link over Discord, so we can make sure we share that properly.
Cool.
But that was really all they had about that. I mean, when I saw that, about 4 years ago, or 3 or 4 years ago, I really had to take a step back and just say, okay, can I actually prove any of the things that I believe in quotations? Like, can I really is there anything way to prove it? So I really try to take a skeptical analysis and just really go back through, why do I think I know what I know? And so I went back, and this is one of the things that, I mean, I think I was definitely one of those people I thought there could be some fakery in terms of imaging for planes. I still think that we still don't know what's going on in Shanksville. We still don't know what's going on at the Pentagon, because we don't have any evidence for that. So as far as these, I wanted to know, okay, why do I think? As I think there were a little bit of disinformation blended in with misinformation to kind of drive this into an area where, as soon as you bring this up, what do people think? Okay, you're just absolutely crazy. Don't even think about looking into this further. Yeah. Could there be a little bit of both? Yeah, and that's kind of why I approached it that way, because there are two locations that are very, very plausible that we literally have zero information for, or at least very, very little information beyond what the official information that they presented. But that's kind of where I approached it and why I wanted to kind of put this back out there in the community, because I think a good amount of healthy skepticism is good for anybody. I mean, I think we've all done it ourselves, even with Q, making sure that we're not, we don't have a bias with what we're seeing. Like, can you explain it? Can you go into a classroom and in a hypothetical situation and be able to explain this to someone you know?
Yep. Well, hey, thanks for putting that together for us, and hang out with us if you can, or if you got to be with your family. We understand that too. It's up to you. You're welcome to stay. We're going to have Clarion on here for a few minutes.
Yeah, I can hang out. I just wanted to make sure I got through that, because that was like a small chunk that I was able to carve out that would be undisturbed. So thank you guys for letting me go through that. Thank you, Vlad, and everyone on the channel for bearing with me through that.
May I comment or two before we get too far away?
Go ahead, Captain Liberty.
Well, I was noticing as you were going through those slides, and the reason I asked who prepared it, for the last 30 years, there's been software around that falls basically into two categories, FEA and DFMA. FEA stands for Finite Element Analysis. DFMA is Design Failure Mode Analysis. And as I was looking at those slides, I was remembering that the one thing that hasn't changed in that software in 30 years is the GO principle. Garbage in, garbage out. You can make effectively that type of software imagery show whatever you want based on the data that you put into it. If you change the strength parameters of the materials, if you change the flex parameters, if you change the ductility, any of those things, then those nice, beautiful little colors that show up in all those high stress areas will change accordingly. So someone who is very familiar with that software effectively can make it show what they want it to show, as opposed to putting in the real data about those materials and showing what would actually happen if they were placed under those stresses.
I believe they are finite element analysis was used for those reports.
Right. And the difference, of course, DFMA shows what it goes through when you take it to the point of stressing something to failure. That's why they call it design failure mode analysis. The other question I had for you was, have you also compared any of this data to the American Society of Architects and Engineers report on 9/11?
Some of it. I was waiting for the Building 7 report. I think I have in text form. I think they had the release of it. I've been going over. I don't think, because they didn't really do anything with the tower collapses themselves, right? It was mostly dealing with Building 7 as they're from their public releases.
Well, that's what we have heard the most about, because one of the principal conclusions they came to about Building 7 was that the collapse of Building 7 was consistent with a controlled mission.
Yeah. I mean, I've been following along with them. I'm familiar with that. It's with Building 7, what they've done. But if they've done anything else besides stating the obvious about, that whole pile driver issue with the rest of the structure being completely sound, I'm on board with that. But I haven't seen if they had any particular analysis like they did with WTC7.
The only thing that I have heard, because I haven't read the whole thing, I don't think we've actually seen the whole report on all of the building. But the way those things collapsed, at least in my opinion, was totally inconsistent with how they were constructed.
Mm-hmm.
Those buildings effectively got all of their strength, especially their vertical strength, from the fact they were built in a way that the outside of the building was like an exoskeleton. In the same way that a bug has an exoskeleton, which is the shell, whereas a human has an endoskeleton, which is our skeleton. The older form of construction was to have, all of the support spread evenly throughout the building, whereas these did not.
Yeah, I believe this one was 60% interior, 40% exterior.
Right. Well, the 60% interior was because it too was what they call a core out structure. And that means that during construction, what they do is progressively they'll pour the interior core, which more often than not houses such things as the elevator shafts. That core will get structurally built and poured above the construction of the rest of the building and the outer floors. And effectively, that core is used as the support for the cranes that bring up the materials to construct the exterior of the building. That's why they call it a core out form of construction. And for it to have collapsed in the way it did, I watched that even when it happened, and I said, man, that doesn't make sense.
I think, and hopefully eventually we will all know the truth about what went down on that day, because that was definitely a worldwide event, although it affected the guys in the States so much more. But yeah, well, we still got him here for a few minutes. I know Clarion had another thing to jump to here soon in terms of his timeline in the Matrix. Are you still with us there, Clarion? Did you want to jump on some today info?
Yeah, I am, and I appreciate the discussion. That was a really good presentation that Drunken Pinata put together, and then also, of course, Captain Liberty, some very insightful, points as well. But there's no question about it that this thing pancaked, and I think it's pretty, quite settled to a large extent that the structure there was, additional. Explosive charges and things, and no further than Building 7. So I was out there several months right after it happened, and I heard, direct testimonies, and what an awful event in history. And, I think that is a good segue into Robert Mueller in his 9-minute little diatribe today. POTUS needs he needs our support continuously. These people are absolutely criminals, and it's a travesty of justice for what this special counsel is doing. Stating that the report speaks for itself, but yet going on this diatribe of about 10 minutes, and then stipulating that he essentially his testimony is in the report. We are a constitutional republic, and this frankly is beyond alarming, and it is really upsetting that we do not have the GOP Republicans in the Senate, i.e. Mr. Graham, Senator Lindsey Graham, and others stepping up for this president. This is pathetic, and they should be called out on it. So it is an indictment against our senators who are ostensibly, supposedly on the side of our president. It is all of today, post Mueller's little diatribe, has been nary a word of support from Senator Graham's office and others that are in the higher house, and that is pathetic. And so, the first thing I'm going to do tomorrow is contact Senator Graham's office, not to suggest that they won't be coming out tomorrow or later on, but there's been nothing. And this president deserves our full attention and support. Keep in mind, they were wanting to indict. They actually had indictments crafted against the president's children until Attorney General Barr came in. These people are evil, and they know what's coming. And this continues to provide these crazy, out of control progressives in the House with fodder, to continue this whole impeachment throng. And it's absolutely wrong. And what Mueller did, the special counsel did, was obfuscation at its finest, sublimely. And it is pathetic. And people need to stand up and say enough is enough with this.
I think you just touched on a very important point, that being that there has been nothing out of the Republicans in the Senate, or even any of the Republicans out of the House for that matter. And Q has told us that, if everything were known about Congress, that 70% of them would be under indictment. Now, if these people in Congress know that we have a president who will declassify this information, maybe they're sweating too. They know that there are a lot of people on the left side of the aisle who are going down, and they're probably sitting there thinking, if they go down, who's next?
Well, that's a good point, Captain Liberty. And, this is not a static, this is a fluid, constant, there's a constancy. The exponent of this is a constancy of game theory against, how fluid this is. And, it is a plan of all plans, but, foursquare within the plan is the allotment for this back and forth and moves and counter moves, because let's not kid ourselves. There's a continuation, highly confident of this, a continuation of even people that are on our side of being blackmailed by the deep state. So, I am looking forward to the D-class, but, we are now in a very good spot in the sense that the special counsel's office has been deactivated. And so all of this trauma that's going through the system, this feigned, ginned up trauma that's going through the system, is going to be extricated. And it is moving through the bowels and through the duodenum, and it's going to be out, and there's nothing more they can feed into the system. And so I am so looking forward to the D class, and let's hope that's coming. But we just need to continue to support Q and be very vocal about it. and occupy as much space in social media to push back on this. It's a very sad commentary that the president's campaign manager is the one, and as well as his communications team, is out there having to speak sense. Really, really disappointing with Senator Graham and others that are not, making the battle cry of just how, if you really analyze how Robert Mueller's, he contradicts himself, and it is pathetic, absolutely pathetic. And so we'll have to go through a postmortem and an analysis of the actual original. The original charge that Rosenstein signed, I think it was, I don't know if it was back in May of 17, whatever it was, and look at that, and look at the genesis of the origins, as they say, of how the investigation started, the predicate, because that should not be lost on anyone. This is an absolute outrage, a travesty of justice, and there is no justice, and then there's no equity, there's no justice. And to review the transcript of Robert Mueller and just how eloquent and language that he uses, and it is a travesty of justice. And he has perverted the system, the Office of Special Counsel. And I tell you what, we need to be energized by this and coalesce together and push back together with one voice.
I have a question regarding this particular subject, and it goes right back to the very last Q post that we got on May 26th. And actually the very last line of it, where Q said, "You attack those who threaten you the most." Logical thinking. Now, my question is this: is inactivity, failure to support, failure to defend, also considered to be a form of attack?
It could very well be, but the president needs our support, and he did not get that today with the Republicans and senators. And I would hope that they would stand up and come out. So I agree with what Ed Rollins had said earlier today on Fox, Dobbs' show. This is this Senate, they need to stand up and they need to coalesce around the president. And, I know that there's certain folks, Mark Meadows and others in the lower chamber that are doing that. But we need to, at this point in time, stand up and be loud and be very proud of this president. He needs our support. And that's what I wanted to say.
No, I am with you. Do you think, Clarion, why today? Why Mueller resigned today? Do you think that was strategic?
I do think it was strategic, and I think that it's not coincidental that Comey had his op-ed. What was it, yesterday? I also, Patriots, don't think it was coincidental that Q posted, retweeted the video when he was visiting the 7th Fleet on the Wasp. So something is happening. We should all be very encouraged, but that doesn't say that we can't be upset about certain things too. But this is not a game, as Q has intoned many, many times, and this is the highest degree of brinkmanship and that one could ever imagine in the geopolitical scene. And so we just need to continue to move the ball forward and to support our president, because we are the news now. The mainstream media, as we've talked about before, has completely, totally, unequivocally abdicated their role as the fourth estate in this country, keeping it in between the guideposts or the rails, within the Constitution, the guardrails, that is. They have not done that. And so we are taking the mantle. We have taken the mantle, and we should all be very proud of that. And let's just continue on and continue to support the president, red pill people, and get out there on social media. I will tell you one thing. On the president's Twitter feed, there's a delta between comments and hearts. And so always, if you agree with it, which I'm sure most people do with most of his tweets, is always tag the heart. So you always want to see probably at least a 4 to 5 to 10 plus ratio between the hearts and the comments. And there you go. I got to run. I love you guys, and I will continue to declare and decree Psalm 91 over this whole movement, over our president. God bless you, POTUS. God bless you, Melania, First Lady. And let's keep them up in prayer, and also the entire Trump family and the Q team. Alrighty. God bless. Thank you.
All right. Hey, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, awesome. Well said. Amen there, Clarion. Thank you very much. Great insights as always. And by all means, so you can catch us on our Friday evening show for the roundtable discussion as well if you want to join in. Yeah, great to have him on there. I think he was going back to a meeting out in the Matrix there. So Clarion and Drunken Pinata both have brung it tonight. And we got Captain Liberty bringing our color commentary to us here with all the great knowledge. This is awesome stuff.
Yeah, I always defer to Captain Liberty and Clarion. They're much better orators than I am.
Yeah, no, it's great, guys.
Thank you for the kind word.
It's a team.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to get a little better. I don't know about if you guys go back and listen. Sometimes you go back and you realize you're skipping over predicates and words and verbs. So I've been trying to just trying to be more, a little bit more relaxed and try to more a conversant thing. Because I mean, I've had a little bit of stage experience myself, but yeah, it's been kind of a learning experience. But it's not a very steep learning curve. But thank you guys as always for having me. But I'm gonna stick around for any interjections. Just give me a nod and I'll interject.
Was your stage experience driving the thing or riding a shotgun?
Improvisation.
That's good stuff.
Captain Liberty probably thinks stagecoach.
Oh, that other kind of stick.
I'm sorry, Captain.
That went over my head.
Old time stagecoach. I pulled a little funny there. Anyway, it's top of the hour. Do you want to go ahead and run our video there, and then when we come back, we'll jump on the Trump tweets and year ago cues?
Sounds good. Just give me a sec there.
All right. Pull that up whenever you're ready.
Do that right here. 1 sec. Share the screen. All right. There we go.
I see it.
All right, and we are back. folks. Public service announcement out there. And yeah, welcome to the show there, Best Nanny Ever. Great to have you here. All right. So there we are, folks. Let's swing over here now while we've got the fellas still on the line, and we can have their opinion on President Trump's tweets for the day. I think he's had a few of them.
Hey, real quick, Coach, before you get started, I've got another caller to bring in. What is it here? Plantage Rain, come on in. Oh, I know I butchered it again.
Hello?
You're live. How are you?
Hello. Good. Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
I'm doing well. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, did you have something in particular you wanted to talk about?
I can hear that Canadian accent there. Yes. Actually, yeah. I called in for a couple of reasons today. First of all, hello. How are you? Is everyone well?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And
is this your first time?
No.
No, I called last week.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and I went back and I thought about, what is it that I need to do? Because, being a part of Patriot Soapbox and sitting here participating in live chat, and when you first start get it going, you're kind of like, what do I need to do? Right? Like 3 components. It has to be me. I have to do something, right? It has to specifically be me. Like we all want a place, momentum that's happening, but I'm not going to be willing to get out there and do anything unless I know that that's specifically my part. So, me, it has to be me. I have to do it, and it has to be in action. And that's kind of what I feel. And I imagine a lot of people feel that way. And, given what I've been seeing in live chat and people that I've been interacting and just even listening to the hosts, are you still there?
Yeah, we got you. 5 by 5.
Thank you. I feel like, we're all on the same page with that. Where we go one, we go all. So my part, I feel like I need to give a few verses for everyone's encouragement. And so I'm going to leave those with you before I get off the line today. But I also have something really fun that I found, and I'd like to read it, if that's okay. I found this awesome book. It's called McGuffey's Eclectic Reader. And this is a textbook that used to be used in our schools as a national standard. And this was printed in 1879.
Wow.
Right. So this is what our kids and our forefathers were learning in 1879. I acquired this book actually by visiting one of our national monuments at the gift store. And the person working there told me about the book, and this is actually the highest level that they offer. So this would be what 11th and 12th graders would have been learning. This would have been their textbook in around that time. So,
okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's called the Eclectic Series, and it really is eclectic. Like on page 73, it says, number 6, house cleaning. And so I was just like, wow. And that particular article goes to page 77. But then all the way over here, and what I want to share. So, I mean, I could call back and share that one sometime because it's a little bit more obscure. But this is the one that really got me, because this is what I think sets the bar where we can see where our nation used to be as a standard And I'm not a teacher in this country, but what I hear from teachers and what I see in the kids is nothing compared to what we were teaching before. So this is actually on page 186. If anyone wants to verify that I'm actually reading from this book, this is page 186 through 189 in the McGuffey's Sixth Eclectic Reader.
Okay.
And this is number 45, observance of the Sabbath. This is actually in the school book. And this is written by Gardner Spring. He was born in 1785 and died in 1873. So this was written sometime before 1873. He was the son of Samuel Spring, D.D., who was pastor of a congregational church in Newport, Massachusetts, for more than 40 years. The son entered Yale College and was valedictorian of his class in 1805. He studied law for a time, then went to Bermuda, where he taught nearly 2 years. On his return, he completed his law studies and practiced his profession for more than a year. In 1810, having studied theology at Andover, he was ordained a pastor of the Brick Church in New York City. Here he remained till his death. He was elected president of Dartmouth College and also of Hamilton, but declined both positions. His works, embracing about 20 octavo volumes, have passed through several editions. Some have been translated into foreign languages and reprinted in Europe. As a preacher, Dr. Spring was eloquent and energetic. So this is observance of the Sabbath. Why am I having so much trouble with that first word? All right, here we go. The Sabbath lies at the foundation of all true morality. Morality flows from principle. Let the principles of moral obligation become relaxed, and the practice of morality will not long survive the overthrow. No man can preserve his own morals. No parent can preserve the morals of his children without the impressions of religious obligation. If you induce a community to doubt the genuineness and authenticity of the scriptures, to question the reality and obligations of religion, to hesitate, undeciding whether there be any such thing as virtue or vice, whether there be an eternal state of retribution beyond the grave, or whether there exists any such being as God, you have broken down the barriers of moral virtue and hoisted the floodgates of immorality and crime. I need not say that when a people have once done this, they can no longer exist as a tranquil and happy people. Every bond that holds society together would be ruptured. Fraud and treachery would take the place of confidence between man and man. The tribunals of justice would be scenes of bribery and injustice. Avarice, perjury, ambition, and revenge would walk through the land and render it more like the dwelling of savage beasts than the tranquil abode of civilized and Christianized men. If there is an institution which opposes itself to this progress of human degeneracy and throws a shield before the interests of moral virtue in our thoughtless and wayward world, it is the Sabbath. In a fearful struggle between virtue and vice, notwithstanding the powerful auxiliaries which wickedness finds in the bosoms of men, and in the seductions and influence of popular example, wherever the Sabbath has been suffered to live, the trembling interests of moral virtue have always been revered and sustained. One of the principal occupations of its day is to illustrate and enforce the great principles of sound morality. Where the sacred trust is preserved inviolate, you behold a nation convened one day in 7 for the purpose of acquainting themselves with the best moral principles and precepts. And it cannot be otherwise than that the authority of moral virtue under such auspices should be acknowledged and felt. we may not at once perceive the effects which this weekly observance produces. Like most moral causes, it operates slowly, but it operates surely and gradually weakens the power and breaks the yoke of profligacy and sin. No villain regards the Sabbath. No vicious family regards the Sabbath. No immoral community regards the Sabbath. The holy rest of this ever Memorial Day is a barrier which is always broken down before men become giants in sin. Blackstone, in his commentaries on the laws of England, remarks that a corruption of morals usually follows a profanation of the Sabbath. It is an observation of the Lord Chief Justice Hale that of all the persons who were convicted of capital crimes while he was on the bench, he found a few only who would not confess that they began their career of wickedness by a neglect of the duties of the Sabbath and vicious conduct on that day. The prisons in our own land could probably tell us that they have scarcely a solitary tenant who had not broken over the restraints of the Sabbath before he was abandoned to crime. You may enact laws for the suppression of immorality, but the secret and silent power of the Sabbath constitutes a stronger shield to the vital interest of the community than any code of penal statutes that ever was enacted. The Sabbath is the keystone of the arch which sustains the temple of virtue, which, however defaced, will survive many a rude shock so long as the foundation remains firm. The observance of the Sabbath is also most influential in securing national prosperity. The God of heaven has said, "Them that honor me, I will honor." You will not often find a notorious Sabbath breaker a permanently prosperous man. And a Sabbath-breaking community is never a happy or prosperous community. There is a multitude of unobserved influences which the Sabbath exerts upon the temporal welfare of men. It promotes a spirit of good order and harmony. It elevates the poor from want. It transforms squalid wretchedness. It imparts self-respect and elevation of character. It promotes softness and civility of manners. It brings together the rich and the poor upon one common level in the house of prayer. It purifies and strengthens the social affections and makes the family circle the center of allurement and the source of instruction, comfort, and happiness. Like its own divine, I'm almost done. Like its own divine religion, it has a promise of life that now is and that which is to come. Men cannot put themselves beyond the reach of hope and heaven so long as they treasure this one command. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
You're done.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty awesome how advanced their vocabulary was back for 1873.
There was one thing in particular that impressed me. That is, if you took each of the moral principles laid down therein and reversed it to a statement of the exact negative and opposite, then you would have the Democrat platform for the 2020 election.
A casual out there live chat, a casual observer says, "My brain itches." And so this Qbert out there says, "My brain itches also." Tell those, and that was taught to kids. How old did you say? Grade 8?
No, that was 12.
This is actually 11th and 12th graders. This is the 6th. They have 6 books. So, like 1 and 2 were the first book, 3 and 4 are the second book.
Very interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Motley 416.
I thought it was.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot more in here. There's really great poetry, and if you can get your hands on one of these, ask around, because it's actually fantastic reading. And the entire first chapter is dedicated to knowing how to speak out loud. And it goes over formation, structure of sound, and teaches you how to speak. So this book was actually meant to be read out loud. It was like an oratory schooling book.
Well, the McDuffie readers, weren't they a mainstay of American education for almost 2 centuries?
Wow.
I think it's a really good example. It's a really good example of how we're supposed to be taught. We're supposed to, I always hated history in class in grade school and middle school, high school, because it was just a bunch of dates. What they really should have been teaching us is why, about when these victors are basically writing the history themselves, like a way, so those types of materials are teaching people how to think, and how to think in a much deeper way, and not just regurgitating facts like we have today.
I had one particular teacher in high school who said, those who do not learn history are doomed to repeat it in summer school so that you can graduate.
Yeah, wow, that's some interesting stuff. You have to come back and find us some more good passages like that to read out for us.
I will definitely investigate the rest of the book for other things that would be appropriate. I wanted to leave everyone, if you have a pen and paper ready, or maybe somebody can post these on the screen. And just remember, I'm not in live chat while I'm here on the phone with you. But here's a few verses for encouragement that I found, some passages that the Lord impressed on my heart to share with everyone this week. And I just wanted to share also that I feel like, especially with these passages, it's important to read them in the King James Version. Just FYI, there's a very gross difference in translation from the King James in one of these passages that's not in other translations. So the first is Revelation 22, 12 through 21. The second is Luke 17, 20 through 18, 8. And the third is Psalm 43.
All right. I'm writing that down here.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty. I got it.
Yeah,
Clay.
if anybody wants to read those online, I just don't have a King James version here with me currently. And I wasn't able to pull it up on any other device. So I'm just hoping maybe you all read that on your own time, or maybe you can share it on the air if you feel like it's appropriate. God bless you and have a great day.
Did you want,
or wherever you are? Yeah.
all right.
Hello?
Give us a call back, and definitely find something else in that book. That's kind of interesting.
Will do. The house cleaning on page 73 is really fantastic. Page 73 through 77, but it's a little obscure, like I said. So we may need to cultivate an audience for this book, is what I'm thinking, because through poetry and different things, you may have to get the feel for the book over time. So I started with a good passage, and maybe I'll try something a little more eclectic next time. Thank you.
Alrighty.
Have a good night.
Yeah, find something on a patriotic theme. Hey, come back anytime. Alrighty, we got Captain Liberty and Drunken Pinata with us tonight still. And Sosha's manning our pre-screening voice room. So anybody else want to jump in there, go ahead and feel free to jump on in, and we'll bring you up here. And Clay, Coach, how about jumping on over into the tweets and last year's cues?
Sure, will do.
Thank you.
Bring
I got an eye on live chat.
Right on. And perfect. Yeah, I'm definitely liking this 2-monitor system where I can see live chat up at the same time as I share the screen. It's quite handy. All right. Well, looks like we've got a few from today here to bring us up to speed to what the president is speaking about here on Twitter. And at 4:40 a.m., little two-parter started out here. Whoops, shut that down a little bit too early. Here we go. He says, Republicans cannot allow themselves to lose again at the Senate seat in the great state of Alabama. This time it will be for 6 years, not just 2. I have nothing against Roy Moore, and unlike many other Republican leaders, wanted him to win, but he didn't, and probably won't if Alabama does not elect a Republican to the Senate in 2020. Many of the incredible gains that we have made during my presidency may be lost, including our pro-life victories. Roy Moore cannot win, and the consequences will be devastating. Judges and Supreme Court justices. Wow. What do you guys think about that?
No more.
Any comment there, Captain Liberty?
Well, once again, we know what happened that caused Roy Moore to lose the last time.
Right.
Well, my question is, how many more times are they going to try that kind of crap, and will they be able to get away with it again?
In the sense of voter fraud, or what do you mean? Elaborate.
In the sense of, you remember what they did to Roy Moore. All of a sudden,
right,
this mysterious girl comes out of nowhere and claims that he had approached her when she was a teenager. And then, of course, they tried the same thing again with the Kavanaugh hearings.
Yeah. It's even worse than that. I was watching with my wife the Roy Moore election on the state's website, and they took votes from he won the write-ins and put it over under his, and there was definitely some I'll just say trickery for a PG word going on.
Once again, I think it is incumbent on all of us, and this includes everyone listening. If you have the opportunity in the upcoming elections to volunteer for, or in some cases, you have to put in an application for becoming a poll watcher, then we're part of the Patriot Army. Do it. Don't sit there and just think about doing it. Do it.
Yep, it's only one day.
Yeah, very well said. We need to get out more and more here, especially in the next year or so here, 2 years. Lots of things to be done for the movement. All right.
And if you're a poll watcher or a volunteer at your voting station and you see something, say something. Now, in my case, if I saw something like that going down, I would call the sheriff's department.
Yep.
I would not call the local police department. I would contact the sheriff's department.
Yep, makes sense. All righty, jump on into the next one, Clay.
Good. Coming up here, bringing it up large there, 8:37 a.m. President Trump tweets, "Nothing changes from the Mueller report. There was insufficient evidence, and therefore, in our country, a person is innocent. The case is closed. Thank you." Wow. Here's a question for you guys. In your approximation, do you feel that there's going to be a speed up of the truth information to be coming out here, or is it going to continue to be kind of a slow trickle?
Truthfully, I think it has been speeding up all along.
Yeah, me too.
And it's accelerating, but it's a slow acceleration to get people used to the amount of information that's coming out. Once again, if they bang everybody with too much all at once, they won't be able to absorb it. But I've noticed as time has gone by that this has been a very steady, very methodical acceleration of releasing the information.
Do you see, in your opinion, do you see what were the points or the catalysts that have egged it on faster?
Principally liberal reaction.
Right. Sure. No, it makes sense. I mean, that follows right into, the definition of game theory.
I've seen a reduction of the times that they go to their throwbacks. So now they've already gone back to the conclusions that Mueller had. Like that, Mueller definitely meant for Congress to continue. They didn't go back to an affair. They didn't go back to some made up thing. They've basically been reduced to a certain number of options, and they're no longer, they even had potentially, I don't know, hopefully, I don't really know what happened on the White House today, but there have been other examples that Q has brought up that have been used in the past where they had hinted at being able to manipulate innocents into doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that and the thing of getting us used to hearing what squalling is going to come out of the other side, they really have used up all of their ammunition, because now when someone starts squalling in a particular direction with a particular theme, it's like a hammer falling on the primer of an empty shell casing. It doesn't have the impact, the noise, and there's nothing there.
The main takeaway I took from today is that they lost another piece. They can no longer say that Mueller has been silent or has not been heard or has been restricted from being heard. Like, that's the biggest takeaway from today, in my opinion.
Right, and Mueller's done. His piece is off the table now. If you want to question Mueller, you pretty much got to question Barr at this point.
Right. And for the folks out in your live chat who do not or are not aware of what game theory is the branch of mathematics concerned with the analysis of strategies for dealing with competitive situations where the outcome of the participant's choice of action depends critically on the actions of other participants. So that's just how Captain Liberty was explaining it in terms of the liberals' reactions and their actions in the last few weeks to a month or so. Yeah. Very well, guys.
Was that the last of the tweets?
No, we definitely got some more here. I just kind of switched over. Did you have something to say there, Captain Liberty?
Well, I was just saying, when he said, "Is that the last of the tweets?" I just said, "Oh no."
Oh no, we got some good ones here. All right, so here's the next one, which is a retweet from Kaylee McCania. It says, "Now is the time to turn to the origins of the Russian hoax and get to the bottom of why the Trump campaign was spied on by the Obama-era DOJ and FBI." And it's the statement from the on Mueller report here. Bring it up from the Trump-Pence 45, May 29th, 2019, Trump campaign statement on Robert Mueller remarks. Special counsel Robert Mueller's remarks today confirmed what we already knew. There was no collusion between the Russians and the Trump campaign, and there was no case for obstruction. President Trump has been fully and completely exonerated. Mueller said his investigation is over. The case is now closed. And quote here, "Now is the time to turn to the origins of the Russian hoax and get to the bottom of why the Trump campaign was spied on by the Obama-era DOJ and FBI. Anyone who is for transparency, constitutional civil liberties, and the rule of law should want to know why human sources, wiretapping, and unmasking were used to infiltrate a presidential campaign." And that's from Brad Parscale, the campaign manager. Well said. Yes, guys. The hunted become the hunted. All right. Karen's Teacups out there says, "Ironically, this DM do a pretty cool meme on game theory." Oh, I did not see it in my Discord box there, so definitely resend that to me, Karen. All right. And another retweet here from Sarah Sanders, and I'll bring that up to here. A statement from the press secretary. The special counsel has completed the investigation, closed his office, and has closed the case. Mr. Mueller explicitly said that he has nothing to add beyond the report and therefore does not plan to testify before Congress. The report was clear. There was no collusion, no conspiracy, and the Department of Justice confirmed there was no obstruction. Special Counsel Mueller also stated that Attorney General Barr acted in good faith in his handling of the report. After 2 years, the special counsel is moving on with his life, and everyone else should do the same. Sarah Sanders.
Would you like for me to translate that into English?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, it says, shut up, guys. I'm going on vacation. Leave me alone.
Yeah, down to Gitmo.
Yes.
They might let him spend a week in the Bahamas first, and then.
While we're in between tweets here, let me bring up this meme made by a Q University alum out there for us here. Justice is served. It's hammer time. Game theory, game over. And we got the boys at the top out there in the front line, William Barr, John Durham, and John Huber. All right, that's a nice one. And that, again, was from Q University alum there, folks. Hopefully you guys can see that. And I will jump back over to my other screen. Where did I have it? There we go. Right. Back to Trump's page here. All right, and then just a couple hours ago, we've got a few more. And he has a question here for us. How do you impeach a Republican president for a crime that was committed by the Democrats? Witch hunt. I always wonder, guys, in terms of the significant linguistics, if I can use that term, it's not the right one, but in terms of the significance of words that he uses, obviously we know that President Trump, not only in business but in politics, concedes the value in terms of using certain words. Hence his uses of nicknames. But this whole thing with the witch hunt, I keep getting around in my mind if he's really, pulling a troll onto Mrs. Clinton there, who we know is someone who goes to the covenants. What do you think?
Well, I think that, and he's also making a homonym pun. In other words, in this particular case, it's spelled W-I-T-C-H, hunt, but he may also mean W-H-I-C-H. Like, which hunt are we going to start looking at now?
I see. That's a good point. I never really looked at it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been looking at these tweets. I haven't seen these past 24 hours. I've been a little busy, and I gotta say, I think Tennessee's I'm gonna have to message them about some of this stuff. I got some spidey sense going on about a lot of this stuff. I think it was some good signaling going on here. I think we're in definitely coded message territory. I wouldn't be surprised if you see some of this stuff in the past few days on another Stereo Brain video or something like that, because I see a lot. And I also think it's really interesting that he drew attention to Roy Moore this morning at 6:40 Eastern time. And I don't know if that was just before or if that's after Robert Mueller are also RM. They had that announcement. I don't know if that could have been a signal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was interesting for him to just tweet about Roy Moore out there out of the blue, kind of. Good point. Well, a couple more here for us. Looks like here says here at 7:46 p.m. Great show tonight at Sean Hannity. You really get it. 9 p.m. at Fox News. That's why you're number one by far. Also, please tell Mark Levin congrats on having the number one book. And we got one more here as well here, folks. 2 hours ago, he says, I was not informed about anything having to do with the Navy ship USS John S. McCain during my recent visit to Japan. Nevertheless, at FLOTUS, and I loved being with our great military men and women. What a spectacular job they do. What
what happened there? I don't know.
Yeah, any opinion on
Probably
that?
because they painted no name on the back of the ship.
Sorry, say that again, Captain Liberty?
I said it's probably because they painted no name on the bow of the ship. USS John S. No name.
Did they really?
Well, if they didn't, they should have.
That's for sure. Live chat. Is there anyone out there who knows? It just doesn't make sense to me that he just, out of nowhere says he's not linking it to any other thing that might have been spoken about it. Just all of a sudden he says, I was not informed about anything having to do with the Navy ship USS John S. McCain during my recent visit to Japan. So what happened to that ship during the visit? Very interesting.
Wasn't that one of the ones that had the navigational issue? That was like that ran into like another kind of freight ship or something.
It was like a freight ship that, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. What are the chances of that happening, right?
You mean the collision at sea?
Yeah, I think that was one of the vessels that was involved in one of those like GPS incidents.
Elaine Hall out there, a great patriot there out in live chat, says they said he requested to have the John McCain hid. So it was some fake news trying to spin the narrative in a negative way with President Trump and McCain. Interesting.
Yeah, and then that's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Well, while we're on Twitter, why don't we see if there's any deep state players who are spinning the yarn here for us today with some other tweets, some projection here. Here it goes. 1 hour ago, Mueller from Adam Schiffy. Mueller has one more service to provide, testimony before Congress and the American people. Oh, wow. If he wants the public to better understand the seriousness of the Russian interference and prevent others from misrepresenting his work, duty calls once more. Oh, man. It's just so funny that they're even trying to spin this Russian interference, folks. It was what did they pay again? $4,400 worth of ads? Give me a break. There's nothing there. It's so funny to me that CNN, here it is, giving Adam Schiff a platform, continues to give him the platform.
Wow.
And the majority of them were actually serviced or were recorded to have been served as far as the ads are concerned after the election.
Right. After the election. I didn't hear that. That's just so funny. Oh, here, more projections. Adam Schiff says, Mueller confirmed today that Russia engaged in multiple systematic efforts to interfere. Oh, yes. Yes, Hillary should have won. Did you guys see that video the other day of Anderson Cooper mimicking or kind of mocking a clip of Judge Jeanine? He was making these very weird, very, very weird faces. No, you didn't see it?
Where it kind of looked like the faces that Peter Strzok was making during his testimony.
Yeah. Yeah. What was he doing? Was he on live at that point? Or was that like a cut off, like a hot mic type of thing where he didn't realize he was being cameraed or being filmed? Because that to me,
probably.
God. Yeah. All right. Well, let's see another top here guy who likes to.
Ted Lieu. Look at him on the right hand side there, or go to Brennan here first.
Yeah. Let's go to Brennan.
Oh, yeah. Watching all these, what these guys do, so glad I left California.
Oh, man. You do not have the scintilla of intellect, decency, and principles of VP Biden. What you do have is Biden envy. Is that how you say that word? Did I say it properly?
Scintilla.
Yeah. don't think I've used that.
I don't know if I would use Biden envy when I'm talking about the Biden there.
Oh man, yeah. Let me see if I can find it here in my Twitter thread from
I
today.
think the pronunciation is scintilla, but I like his better.
What did I say?
You said skintilla.
My bad.
What's the proper
Yeah, some
pronunciation?
people might have sin, S-I-N.
S-I-N.
Scintilla.
So, okay.
But his was funny.
It was. Just keep the chit chat going there, guys, for a second. I'm trying to find the clip from earlier on my Twitter feed. Gotta scroll down here.
I got a neat patch from Mr. Purple Tie the other day. Show live chat right there. Like to thank him again. My Space Force patch.
Here it is. Speaking about President Trump there talking about, John Brennan talking about Biden. Here he is today, or very recently, in looks like about 50 people in this thing. And look what he does. Let's watch it here.
I'm going to write you a longer answer and tell you the exact things I would do, okay? Okay? Promise? I bet you're as bright as you're good.
What does he do? But he first thing he does is walks over and finds a young child to clamor on to here, folks.
Somebody ought to tell kids.
Whoa, I better be more circumspect in my answer. Those guys back there.
Sorry, go ahead there, I70.
Somebody should tell them that kids can't vote.
Yeah. Okay, well, if you don't even think that's weird enough, then watch what happens.
Go ahead, the next question.
Grab
Okay, over here. Washington Post, New York Times.
Here's what happens here, but here we go. His typical form, right?
Oh,
Typical
Creeper
form,
Joe.
right
Assume
to
the position.
Exactly.
And by the way, that's one of the things that's a dangerous idea.
Guys,
You know, these guys will tell you I'm not always their favorite subject, but the truth of the matter is, the reason we are who we are is
Hands
called
on the
free
child.
press. Continue to
Disgusting, right? Then
The shoulder
hand
rub
to the back.
there.
Yeah, hands on 24.
Then the hand to the back, right there, folks. See? Yeah, good one, John Brennan. Is he saying he would?
Yeah.
Creepy.
Yeah,
We
Biden
should start
and Beto need to keep their hands in their pockets for very different reasons.
We should start a movement called Kids Lives Matter. And the motto can be, hands off, I'll shoot.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
No doubt. Yeah, he just can't help himself. I don't know. It's very weird. Very weird behavior.
And it's like he don't give a rat's ass, if people see it or not, even though it's been questioned and drawn into question many times. That's what's even weirder about it. I think they just think they're untouchable.
Hidden 777 Truth out there in live chat says Creepy Joe Skintella.
I like it.
Oh wow.
Creepy Joe don't have a scintilla of a chance to win the next election.
Well, I got you guys still on the line here as well. Where did I put it there? Oh, no, I missed it. Sorry, still trying to find it here, folks.
That's all right. Captain America, or Damn it, Captain Liberty. Sorry, I've been watching too many movies lately.
Yeah, guys, I'm just going to share the screen once more here. What's going on here? Is this just MK Ultra or what?
Where are the police? Dude, that's not a fucking stunt. This guy's killing. He's burned himself alive. What the fuck?
What was with this guy?
No, he doesn't. Stop. Like fucking.
Well, we knew Washington D.C. was full of a bunch of flaming
I
liberals.
don't understand why you guys want to be like, this is the stupidest thing. Why are you being a retard?
I mean, is this a tactic that is actually supposed to change the narrative in for a long period of time so that they can prevent other information from getting out there? I just don't see it as being such a big event.
No, here's what'll happen. They'll go back and they'll look at that guy's history and they'll say he was bullied on 8chan or something like that.
Right.
I don't know whether he was demonstrating or whether his crack pipe exploded.
No, he had a USA shirt and they said there was writing on it, but you couldn't really read it. But he had a United States flag on his shirt. I don't know what happened there.
The same thing that Who Me Out in live chat says. He thinks he looks like he is wearing a burn suit. Yeah, he didn't seem to be very in much urgency.
Yeah, he might have been on drugs too.
Yeah. And for live chat out there, we still have a Drunken Pinata and Captain Liberty on the line here with us on the show, just so you know.
Well, I would have to say that whatever he was trying to say, he didn't really say it very well.
Qualco Canada out there says, Coach Clay in the hospital with burns over 85% of his body. Yeah, no, I believe it. He just did not seem to be in feeling much pain or anything for someone who was, flaming like the Human Torch.
Yeah, he's feeling that shit now. Well, maybe not. He's got morphine, but he'll eventually feel it in between the morphine because they can only do that so much. That's terrible. Something's really got to be wrong for you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
He was probably full of something akin to morphine when he did it in the first place.
Yeah.
Was it today? Was it a special day today in terms of some type of symbolistic ritual of sorts, and that's why he did that? Maybe, I'm not sure.
Who knows? It could just be Sierra, Romeo, India.
Yeah, just give him a chance to go back through his past, and we'll find out how it was tied to Q somehow.
Yeah, well, that's kind of if we'll see if it is really a false flag or not. Maybe potentially by the information that comes out afterwards.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the odds are that he is a George Soros crisis actor?
Yes, no, that could be a theory as well.
I think this falls into that what they had mentioned before, like that guy who kind of went to Sean Hannity's house, and then the other guy that kind of had another White House incident. Both of them, I think, were over a year ago.
Yeah, he looks like he was on remote control.
I will paste that link to that video into live chat for people once I get a hold of it here. There we go.
Well, would you rather see them self-immolating or shooting schools?
Self-immolating. Immolating means burning yourself alive?
Immolating. Yeah, essentially that. Or, doing something bad to yourself or your own body.
Here's the picture that I70 was talking about, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, folks.
He's got a sweatshirt on.
Pretty wild stuff.
His arms look pretty bare.
Yeah, they do.
It's burnt off. His sleeves have already burnt off. At that point, his sleeves are already burned off. It's amazing his hair ain't burning.
This guy in the back, can you hear me now?
I mean, the only thing I can think of is some kind of immigration protest.
That guy in the back is like, yeah, it's over. Plan's launched. Huh. He was the handler.
Very interesting. Wow, guys. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, that's way too calm with that much flame around you. Look at that. He has like his head kind of cocked down. Right. That's just.
Yeah, he's not really showing any pain at all from the flames, the burning. Definitely looks suspicious to me.
I mean, there are some accelerants. I mean, if you think of like sterno, that you could have some kind of a flame that's not necessarily like touching you, because it's more about what the vapor's doing than the actual chemical itself. But I don't know, that's just way too calm. Way too calm.
There's also a clear gel that you can put on you that is heat resistant too. I've got it for when I solder and stuff.
Yeah, Teresa B out in live chat brings up a good point. Coach Clay, did this guy do this when Robert Mueller was speaking? Yeah, interesting. What was the timing on it? Maybe they were thinking Mueller was going to say or do something differently than he did. Yeah.
The way my convoluted brain works, I immediately think, what's missing and what information will we never get? We will never get hospital information about what other chemicals were in his system. What kind of drugs was the guy doing? We will never hear that.
Right.
Maybe the British are coming by land. Who knows?
I believe it, folks. Oh, interesting stuff today. Lots of good, cool, neat things coming up to the end of the week here too. Another couple of days, so might be some more stuff to come out before the weekend.
Let me tell you something, kids. Don't play with matches. That was my best fireman bill there for Patriot Tin Man.
Well, that was pretty good. You have to do that more often.
No.
On a funny note, if we will, we've got a couple minutes before we need to do our final say goodbyes here for the end of the show. But I thought I had this pulled up just in case we needed a bit of humor. Here it is. Share the screen here again. Let me know when you can see that I70.
Got it.
I think this is one of the last G20 meetings or something like that, and it's my fearless leader, the fake feminist, Mr. Trudeau here, and watch POTUS watch POTUS be the alpha male here, and then what happens to Mr. Trudeau after? It's great. Put the volume up. Here we go.
It's just no good anymore since it's just no.
I'll just end that thing there. Justin tries to get his attention, and President Trump goes, yeah, or yeah, or hi, or something. Turns away. Watch. It's great. Yeah. See ya. Oh, and now Mr. Trudeau, what? Oh, is there? Does anyone want to talk to me?
Well, I think I finally figured out what was going on with the whole eyebrow issue. I went back and looked at that video.
Yes.
And it suddenly dawned on me what was really happening.
Enlighten me.
Trudeau was so two-faced that what happened was, one of his faces had come loose, and actually the whole face was sliding off.
Oh, you don't know how much that resonates with the majority of Canadians right now in that statement. That is for sure. That's he has been one of the most two-faced, completely opposite from what he said he was going to be like type of characters out there in this globalist realm. Oh man, yeah, and I don't think POTUS is having any time with him right now. In fact, I believe Trudeau is set to meet Vice President Pence tomorrow. He wasn't actually able to get right access to the Oval Office or anything like that. No, you got to beat my number one. Yes,
our president's body language beautiful in that cut that you showed. It was sort of like, you know.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
Exactly. Yeah, go away, annoying. Trudeau is Canada's Obama. That is for certain, and hopefully he's going to be gone here in the next 6 months. October is when we are going to be voting him out. He'll be one of the only prime ministers to only do 4 years, mostly.
Who's going to take his place?
The Conservative right now is leading the polls, whether they be fake or not, and that his name is Andrew Scheer. Comes from the province of Saskatchewan. And right now it's hard to know or hard to see if he has any globalist connections. Some of the things that I don't really like about it is that he has not said that he would step back from the Paris Agreement. And he has not said that he will step back from the Migrant Pact. And he is still going on the same kind of board as the Libs in terms of immigration and a few other platforms. So hard to say about him right now.
Hey, maybe he'll have more flexibility after the election.
After the election. Yeah. Oh, no doubt. Well, looks like we only got a few more minutes here, guys. Junkin Pinata, did you have any last words before we say good evening?
Yeah, and as always, if anything I present, I just putting it out there for people because I kind of realize I probably have amassed a certain amount of things on my own, and I'm unaware, essentially, because I've been kind of in my own bubble in my own personal sphere, that I don't really have anyone to talk about this kind of stuff. So I don't really understand or like have any kind of experience with what other people do or do not know. So if anything I put out there, I'm just putting out there as something I've come across. I'm not trying to change anyone's mind. I'm just trying to put information out there as I've kind of come across it, and that's all. But thank you guys for giving me a platform to present that kind of information, and have a good night. Maybe we'll have a chance to check you out on Friday, but otherwise have a good week. Thanks, Captain Liberty. Thanks, Coach, and I70. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah,
dude, you brought some good stuff, man. It's appreciated.
Yep, I liked it. Come back anytime.
Have a good night.
All right, Captain Liberty, it's all you, buddy.
Well, gents, I'll make this quick. Looks like there's only 3 minutes left. Once again, thank you very much for your wonderful hospitality. And, Coach, hopefully you guys will get a new PM who is nothing like the one that you presently have. And 70, 70, if you were to wear a red, white, and blue American flag shirt, we'd lose you in the background, man. You'd be totally urban camoed there, man.
You're right.
Hey, we need to get him an outfit like that urban cowboy from New York with the guitar.
Oh, that would be even better.
You mean the guy in the underwear?
Yeah.
Thanks. On that note, I'll see you later, Captain Liberty. All right, who's up now? Looks like we've got Sassy Q.
Yeah, Crystal, T Jams, the Cap, and Sassy
got
Q.
two Sassy Qs.
Yeah, right on. Hey, and definitely before we go, I70, let's give a shout out to our faithful volunteer pre-screener out there, Social 321. spends a lot of time in here, not just on our show, but a lot of shows there, as well as Sarah.